Hey, happy Sunday. I'm about to chat with you a little bit about where I'm at and what's going on. So good to see you. So, um, y'all know I gotta sit myself up right quick. I don't plan to be here very long. If you know me, you know that I don't plan to be here very long. This is a live for the people who are not in church today. You're welcome. I'm trying to find my tribe, and I need it to be the people who don't go to church. I need it to be the people who know better. I'm talking to the people who have been called out and kicked out. Where are you? Where are you? Because I'm going to dive in and talk a little bit about my experience, a little piece of my experience of being kicked out of the church. And so I'm not going to be before you long. I'm going to make it quick. Just share what's on my heart this morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 1:30. Sorry. I live life on my own time. So, if you do not know, I am MelTheMessenger. And over 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I got kicked out of church. And so my messages are now going to be more about that experience and what that was like for me. And tidbits and things that I learned from it. And hello, welcome, just bumming, welcome, Chai, welcome, Miss Classy. And how I turned my pain from that experience into power, and I began to help other people. So I want to share my message and help other people in hopes that someone who has felt isolated, someone who has felt alone, someone who has felt left out, someone who has felt called out, kicked out. I want to find those people. Those are the people that I believe I've been called to share my message with. And so that's what I want to do here on this channel. So right now, I'll say this. When I got kicked out, when it was official, I knew by the Spirit that it was coming, because I was standing outside the church one day, like under a tree, and I could just see, I was looking out, and everybody was socializing, and everybody was talking and gathering how you gather when church is over. But I was standing under the tree, and I could see immediately, I noticed that I was separate from everyone. And it's like it became magnified to me that I was separate. And I heard the Spirit say, "Come out from amongst them and be ye separate." So I was physically separated because I was standing alone under a tree. And then I was also spiritually separated at that time. That happened. Fast forward, I kept going to church for I don't know how long, probably a few weeks. And then one day I was sitting in service, and my girlfriend at the time was sitting next to me, and we were sitting probably on the third, fourth row, far right side of the church. And all of a sudden I heard a voice like come to me in my right ear and said, "Go tell people about the love of God." But it wasn't like how I would normally hear it. It just felt like it had more weight on it this time. It felt like it was real. And so I looked. It felt so real that I looked over my shoulder to see if a person was talking to me. And nobody was there. There was a wall there. I was sitting next to the wall. And I sat with it for a few minutes, and I took a few deep breaths. And then after that, when I felt like it was well with my soul and I accepted it and it was done, I was like, okay, I feel that. I leaned over to my girlfriend and I said, hey, I'm about to tell you something. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm just going to tell you something. She said, okay. So I whispered in her ear, I said, I just heard, go tell people about the love of God. And she said, okay. And if you know her, you know that's who she is. You know, she doesn't fight with it or anything like that. When she knows something real, she says, okay. And so that's how it actually, that was how it happened. That was the real part. So all this happened before I was actually kicked out of church. And but these are the things that happened leading up to the actual meeting of me being released from the church or asked to leave. So the Spirit was already warning me, like preparing me to go. So something that frustrates me about my experience was that I let it hurt me and bother me so much, even though I was already pre-warned. Even though I was already given information, intel up front about where I was about to go in my life, what was about to happen. I still let it hurt me. I still let it bother me. That's one thing I don't like, that I wish I had done differently or been able to digest differently. But that's just the way it was at the time. I was very sensitive and just, I loved my church. I loved my pastors. I loved the life I had at church. You know, I was a musician. I was a drummer. And I also served as a pastor's personal assistant. And, you know, I was a prayer on Friday nights and that kind of thing. So I had a little life at church. It wasn't just go to church, sit down and listen. Like I felt like I had a purpose there. I felt like I belonged there. I felt like I had an existence and identity there. You know what I mean? So all that happened before that. So fast forward, some time goes by. I'm still attending church. I don't know at what point I stopped going, but there was a point where we stopped going. But I don't remember exactly why and what happened. And I hope that information comes back to me so I can fill that in the story in my soul. I don't remember everything that happened that we ended up not going. But anyway, fast forward. At some point we stopped going. I don't know how many months went by at this point. But the actual dismissal went something like this. Got a phone call. It's the assistant pastor. And now that I'm conscious, that pisses me off. Because my pastor didn't even love me enough to have the meeting himself. He had his assistant do the work, do the dirty work. Anyway, got a call from the assistant pastor. Hey, can you come in for a meeting and bring your person too? He didn't say my girlfriend. I think he said spouse or something else, but both of y'all can come. I was like, okay. But I was so dumbfounded, y'all. Like, had I been in my right mind, I would have said, no, tell me what you got to tell me over the phone. And I wouldn't have wasted my time, energy, and gas going out there to meet with him. Anyway, that aggravated me. Fast forward. Got a call. Can you come meet? Fine. Click. Went to the meeting. Went up there, met with him in his office, listened to him say whatever he had to say. Then it came to basically this. Hey, you got two choices. You can either stay here at the church, or you can either stay here at the church and disconnect from her, or you can leave the church. I burst into tears. I don't feel like trying to think through the details of what I was thinking and what made me cry. I think it was just the fact that the way that it was done. It was insensitive, you know. It was kind of like, anyway, my brain was good enough to say, those are my two choices. So I thought, y'all asking me to basically stay here and lie? And that is the point when I realized, holy shit, these people want me to pretend like this is not real. Like, me being who I am is not real. Like, me loving who I love is not real. And I got a choice to make. I can choose to keep coming here and keep my identity in the church, keep being a musician, keep being a pastor's assistant, work my way up the ladder, because I was going to work my way up the ladder because I was going to preach at somebody's church, because that's just who I am. I knew that they was going to come if I had just followed their rules, followed their example, followed exactly what they wanted me to follow step by step. I would have been over some ministry or went and started another one. Probably helped launch the other churches that he wanted to launch. If I would have just done exactly what they wanted me to do. But in that moment is when I realized these Christians are asking me to lie. Because even if I had broken up with my girlfriend and decided to keep my identity at the church and stay, I would have been living a lie. Y'all, and that was another thing that showed me who the church is. And how that's when I first began to see, oh, wait a minute. All this stuff is fake. This is what y'all do. Y'all do live one way outside the church, and then you put on a face to look this way inside the church, so you can get accepted, and so you can get promoted, and so you can get all the perks of being a part of a church. I was like, oh my God, so everybody doing this. Because I knew other same gender loving people who went there that were actively same gender loving people, but they were just playing the role that they had to play to keep their position in the church and to look a certain way to the leadership. Oh my God. So that was the moment I said, okay, in the midst of crying in front of this man who I just wanted to slap fire from, because I didn't have no relationship with him in the first place for him to be even having this meeting with me. I had met with him before about something in the church a few years back, and he didn't even know. I had lied straight to his face, because, nigga, I don't know you. I'm not in a relationship with you. I was in a personal spiritual relationship with my pastor. That was the reason I was at that church. He should have been the one to have the meeting with me, not the assistant. Anyway, finished that. All that was over. Thank you. Hey, Deanna. No, thank you. Hey, Deanna. So fast forward that. I had a decision to make. I could stay and keep my identity at the church and excel, or I could go and live in my truth. And it was in that moment I chose to go and live in my truth. And I said, okay, well, I'll go. And he said a lot of things in there. My wife probably remembers, because she was probably clearer than I was. I was too emotional. But he said a few things in there that probably was rude and weird, but I don't recall all of it. I just know that he basically was like, you choose. And I chose. I chose to walk away and live honestly before God and before myself. And I did not accept my position in the church. I laid my status down. I had to give up all that stuff that came with lying. And that's how I got kicked out of the church. That's my story. Now, that's the short version. Now, accepting that became a long, hard road. And I knew it was going to be a long, hard road ahead. But never did I imagine the pain that it was. I just couldn't. I was not ready. Even though I had gotten those inklings and those intel messages prior, that I knew a day was going to come, I think I thought I was going to do it on my own terms. And I probably was trying to hold space for the grace and the possibility that I would be able to leave church and let it be on my own terms. But that shit knocked me off my feet. And so that's basically the story. And I say I got kicked out because I was in the natural, but by the spirit I know I was actually called out to be a light and to be here for the people who were going to excel into the new dimensions of spirituality in the new world. And I had to be here to show you that you can love God and God loves you even if you're not connected to church as we know it. So that's really my testimony. That's my story. And all that time after that in between, and me now talking these few years that I've been online, has been, you've been watching me go through it and share messages as I went through it, and things that I learned along the way, and things that, maybe didn't work so well along the way. But I really know that there is a group of people out there that are for me, and that's who I'm here for. And I don't know where they are, I don't know where they're going to come from, but if you've been shunned by church or family, if you've been kicked out of anything, called out, you feel abandoned, I do believe that I'm here to be a light for you. So I'm just going to keep coming on here and sharing the messages, and that's what it's about. I can say, I basically, had to create or became this modern day version of a pastor, because that was where I was headed in the church world. So this is just the new way that I'm doing it. I'm not claiming to be that. I don't want titles. I started an online community once that was a spiritual community, but that ended because I needed to show up this way. I didn't want to contradict the lesson that I believe God was teaching me, which was that I love you and I want you to love you, and I want you to tell other people about the love of God, which is also the love of self. So at the end of the day, this whole thing for me is about guiding people back to themselves, and not just guiding them, but showing them what it looks like when you come back to yourself and you see yourself in a really beautiful and fruitful relationship with God, i.e. with self, because I believe that we are God's. And you just need to awaken to that fact. So I'm a renegade, and I'm here for you. If you're interested in being a part of my crew, please follow on here or on Instagram or on YouTube, subscribe, everywhere. But I think I'm gonna start showing up now for you. I'm clear enough now. It's been a long road for me, but I'm looking forward to pressing forward towards the mark of a higher calling, which is doing exactly what that voice told me to do that day, which is tell people about the love of God. And now I know that was tell people about the love of self. And one thing that I've learned is that the church does not teach you about the love of yourself. It teaches you about the love of God, and they want you to put all your focus on God, and they want you to put all your focus on the church. And I'm here to tell you that that's unhealthy if you have not first shined a light on yourself and become who you need to be, so that then you can pour out and it won't get depleted like I was. Okay? I love all of you. I'm so grateful for you stopping by. I'm grateful for those of you that stayed and listened. I will be probably releasing this to YouTube in the next few days this week, so we'll see. But that's it, kicked out, called out, and it's gonna be good. Life is good. I love you. God loves you. Peace. Y'all are awesome, man. Awesome.